Alright, so this is a little bit more on the fossil of the day, which I had mentioned earlier. Fossil of the day was something we did in conjunction with CAN, the Climate Action Network. Every day at 2 o'clock, they would vote on whichever country, first, second, and third place, for whichever country they thought was doing the most to block negotiations. So it's a negative award that we sort of made a sort of a play into it as a positive thing. So as you can see, we're very excited about it. And we would present them at 6 o'clock, and it was this very elaborate thing where we'd have the flags tucked in envelopes for first, second, and third place, and we have a countdown, and we'd pull them out, and there'd be cheering and clapping, and then we'd have a youth from whichever country was given the fossil come up and accept it and say something like, "I'm so dishonored to receive this award, you know, this is such an awful thing, but you know, we're really doing great, we're really trying to stop this from happening." And by the way, I should make a disclaimer at this point that the views that I'm expressing here and at the conference were not those of Clarkson University. They are of the international youth movement and of SustainUS. They had nothing to do with Clarkson. But I actually have a video of one of the day's fossils, actually the first day, where the U.S. received second place. So I'm going to see if I can play that for you now.
On behalf of the Climate Action Network, today is the first daily Fossil of the Day Award, the most prestigious bad fossil fuel-related policy award of the entire COP process. Of today's Fossil of the Day Award. If we can have a count of 3, please. 1, 2, 3. And the winner is the United States of America! The United States.
Oh, this is such a great pleasure to accept this award. Unfortunately, the U.S. delegation could not accept it, so as a young person, it's my pleasure to announce that my country is blocking the international effort to stop climate change. And we are number 2, working to be number 1 to stop climate change being stopped.
So these generated a lot of media attention, as well as from the official party delegates. On that particular day, we noticed that one of the U.S. delegates happened to be standing around the corner because the U.S. booth was just around the corner from where we present these. And so a member of CAN and a member of the International Youth Delegation went over and said, you know, we just want to let you know, sort of politely, that we're going to be presenting you this award around the corner. So, you know, and there's a lot of media there. There was always a lot of media there. So we're just to be aware so you aren't caught off guard. And the delegate was saying, "Oh, this is great. You know, we come here and we're trying to have so much progress, and you go and you give us this award for doing nothing, and you're ruining the whole thing." And another day, Saudi Arabia got a lot of them, and there was one day when they didn't get one, but there happened to be a member of the official delegation in the audience as we presented. And after it was over, he came up and said, "How come we didn't get one? We didn't do anything good enough today? Well, we're going to have to try harder for tomorrow." And they also made it into the media a lot. They made it onto Canadian national television as well as Japanese television. Another thing that was a big event for us was our side event that we did. And like I said, pretty much every group that attended had hosted one of these side events. Ours was about about youth action on climate change around the world. So we had about 10 different short presentations on what youth were doing in different countries on climate change. And just seeing that was pretty cool. But the most impactful moment was after the presentation was over, a young woman from Kiribati, which is a small island in the middle of the Pacific, got up and tearfully thanked us for doing so much work on climate change and for caring so much, because we were from big developed countries that would be able to deal with it, but she was from a small island in the middle of the Pacific that is just a couple meters above sea level, and her people were already having to leave the island. So that was pretty powerful. We also did a press conference with UNICEF, which is the United Nations International Children's Emergency Fund. It was founded in 1946. And I have a short clip from this as well. I'll just show you real briefly.
We're here as young people from over 20 countries around the world, every region represented, and we have hundreds of young people and children who are interested in this process. Because we, as children and young people, represent 48% of the world's population and have the most to win and lose from your decisions here. Together here today, we continue to build and strengthen our networks so that our participation can build and emerge as a global movement.
I am here to speak to you about the impact climate change is already having on our island. Storms are frequent and terrifying they bring. High seas and tidal waves. There is extensive coastal erosion. Roads have been destroyed, homes lost.
This is a little bit
Families
clear
are
by.
feeling the impact of the disaster.
Coastal erosion has taken 15 meters of our country. As climate is changing, our life also is changing.
And in this international setting, it is important to remember and recognize that throughout the U.S., people of color, indigenous peoples, low-income communities are suffering disproportionately from the causes and effects of climate change.
While the climate crisis has begun, as we just heard, and while the science is clear, it's not being reflected in politics in Bali. The dangerous risk of reaching 2 degrees is that it may trigger runaway climate change. A 2 degrees rise in global temperature is not acceptable. It's not a target. 2 degrees risks falling off the cliff into global climate catastrophe. As young people, we'd like a better insurance policy. We want world leaders to set targets that will protect